If you're anything like us, you're probably stuck on the couch this week. It's weird, but once life gets back to normal, here are some of our favorite places to eat in New York City. Join us on a virtual journey to 10 iconic restaurants to see what makes these places a rite of passage for locals and tourists alike. Our first stop is a 132-year-old deli on the Lower East Side where the go-to is pastrami on rye.
There's nothing more New York than a pastrami on rye. And no one does it better than Katz's.
I've tried to eat deli all over the world, but the only place to have it is New York City. Had to have it at Katz's.
Hey guys, it's Spencer, and I'm outside Katz's Delicatessen. This is one of the most legendary places in New York City. It's been here since 1888, so I'm gonna go try their famous pastrami on rye and see if it lives up to the hype. Katz's Delicatessen has been a New York institution for over 130 years. The old school deli is like a living museum. Not only is it the oldest Jewish deli in New York, but it's one of the only delis of its kind still in operation at all.
Coming to Katz's is a throwback. It's a snapshot in time. It's being connected to your parents, to your grandparents, to your great-grandparents, to your great-great-grandparents, because they all came here. We do not believe in changing pretty much anything, from the walls to the neons, to the pictures, to the staff, to the food, to the recipes. We don't really believe in changing it. You come here because you want that nostalgia and that tradition and that food that you know and love.
Jewish deli food dates back to the late 19th and early 20th centuries, when waves of Eastern European Jews immigrated to New York's Lower East Side, bringing traditional Eastern European foods like cured meats and pickled vegetables along with them. Delis became a meeting ground where tradition blended with new American culture. At one time, kosher-style delis like Katz's were a dime a dozen. But thanks to things like gentrification and changing food trends, Katz's is the only one that's been able to survive the ages. Part of its success is due to exposure. Over the years, Katz's nostalgic setting has been the backdrop for countless movies and TV shows. The most famous of which is Meg Ryan's iconic scene in When Harry Met Sally.
The scene with Meg Ryan is one of my favorite scenes in all the movies we've ever seen. So.
You're gonna reenact it now, right?
Oh, not right now. Oh, no.
Yes! 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 I'll have what she's having.
Hollywood fame aside, Katz's success is also thanks to the fact that their food is really just that good. The menu has all the classics you'd expect from a Jewish deli, but most people show up for their legendary pastrami and corned beef.
Can you describe what their pastrami tastes like to me?
Heaven. It's the only place in the world to get a pastrami sandwich. I mean, I wouldn't have it anyplace else.
It's about treating each piece of meat like you would a child and knowing what to do with it and how to take care of it from start to finish. That makes us so special. We cook it longer than anyone else. We cook it so long that it would fall apart if you tried to put it in a slicer. So it's so juicy, so tender that you have to carve it by hand.
Their hand-sliced approach means each sandwich is expertly carved to order. To keep the crowds moving, Katz's is set up with multiple carvers at multiple counters. And let's just say, you better be prepared to order when you get in line.
So when you walk in, you're going to get a ticket. That's our system. We've been doing it the same way for 131 years.
Feed me.
Be prepared, because if you get all the way to the front of the line and don't know what you want, you're going to get yelled at.
I would like pastrami on rye.
But you already know what you want. You want a pastrami, you want some latkes, you want some matzo ball soup. You're good. No problem. Don't worry about it.
So that was the easy part. Finding a seat is the hard part. I don't know. I might have to eat it standing up, which I would.
So we have here the pastrami. Just classic, juicy, perfect, fantastic. You can't go wrong.
Do you have any tips for digging into this monster of a sandwich?
Just do it. Just embrace it.
Just go for it.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Oh my God.
Go for it. Let me stop you. All right. I'm gonna take my bite.
That is unreal.
Really good.
Oh man. Hit me with those napkins. I gotta fix my face. So this is the juiciest pastrami I've ever had.
Thank you. That's
How is that possible?
131 years of practice. That's how it's possible.
All right, there you go.
Eating that sandwich was a religious experience. I'm talking mouth-watering perfection. Even still, it almost took a back seat to the actual experience of just being in that noisy, chaotic room, literally surrounded by Katz's history. Photos from everyone who's come before, and signs from a near-forgotten era. All of it a reminder that Katz's will always be here for you, just as it always has. Timeless, in a city barreling toward the future.
There's nothing like nostalgia. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than those traditions. I can't believe that this is my life, and this is what we get to do for a living, is to preserve a tradition and make people happy, hopefully. So it's humbling, and it's a wonderful, wonderful place to be.
Our next stop is a short walk away, where the streets are crowded with college students. Many of them go to Ray's Candy Store for milkshakes, egg creams, and other sweet treats.
In a city that never sleeps, bodegas, carts, and diners are routine hotspots for late-night eats. But one 24-hour joint in New York City stands out as a sacred site for all things junk food. And it's been there for decades. Its name? Ray's Candy Store.
This is a staple of the Lower East Side. This is an awesome place to just come after work, just grab an ice cream, or on a cute date or something.
It's it never really changes. So it's kind of like this timepiece.
It's almost like an oasis for people here. It holds the community together a bit.
We're here at the heart of the East Village at Ray's Candy Store. Ask anyone in the neighborhood, if you haven't had Ray's for some late-night munchies, then you're really missing out. Ray's serves deep-fried Oreos, fries, soft serve, and ice cream. So we're gonna take a look inside, see how it's made, and meet the legendary Ray himself. Step into Ray's Candy Store and you instantly travel back to the 80s. The narrow shop is splattered with a collage of Ray's snacks, pictures with celebrities and friends, news clips of high praise, and of course, lots and lots of junk food.
We sell everything. Cigarette, beer, fried Oreo, French fries, chicken, green card, anything you want.
That's Asghar Kahraman, widely known in the neighborhood as Ray Alvarez. Ray came to the United States in 1963 after abandoning the Iranian Navy, jumping off a ship that was docked off of Virginia. Without any papers, Asghar adopted a Puerto Rican identity and worked odd jobs at restaurants until he scrambled enough money to buy a store.
So since that, I am Ramon Alvarez.
Ray's Candy Store has now been serving late-night munchies in the East Village for over 45 years. And Ray, who is now 86 years old, works the overnight shift, waking up at 4 in the afternoon to run his shop until the next morning.
I work 7 days a week. I work from 4 o'clock afternoon till next morning. No day off, no vacation.
At first, the candy store sold only egg creams, coffee, and French fries. But with the rise of rent prices each year, Ray added new items to the menu to make ends meet.
I like to make things that people like. I enjoy when they are happy. That's my reward.
But diversifying his menu wasn't enough. In 2010, Ray faced increasing pressure to close down his shop as rent tripled. Members of the local community stepped in and started a crowdfunding campaign to keep Ray's open. With an elevated social media presence and local financial support, Ray's candy store was saved.
People came and they donate money. They helped me. Save the Ray. You know, every bar, they had a music, Save the Ray.
People just want to come in and support, and they care about Ray, and they see that he cares about them, and he puts like real love into his food.
Hershey, this is my favorite thing in the world. Hershey bar. Yummy.
So the reason I actually came to Ray's is because Anthony Bourdain came to Ray's in one of his episodes, and that's why I'm here to try the egg cream. I've never had egg cream. I didn't know what it was, so it's my first time trying that. But yeah.
I just walked across into Tompkins Square Park and I'm about to try Ray's deep fried Oreos for the very first time. I'm really excited because I'm a big fan of Oreos and I've never had it deep fried, so let's just see how it is. Okay, which one do I pick? I like this one, the one with the powdered sugar. Ready? Oh my God. This is heaven.
My favorite thing is the fried Oreos. Yeah, they're magical.
Cheers. Good.
Pretty good.
Very good.
We finished the whole thing.
With a newly painted storefront and his East Village family in tow, Ray and his candy store are here to stay.
Over in Soho, you'll smell fresh baked goods wafting from Dominique & Sell Bakery's storefront. The most famous treat here is the cronut, a mashup between a donut and a croissant. This is the cronut, one of New York City's most legendary desserts.
This hands down might be one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life.
The donut croissant hybrid was created by world-renowned pastry chef Dominique & Sell in 2013. Now, if you aren't familiar with Chef Dominique's desserts, he is famous for his frozen s'mores, his watermelon soft serve, his cookie shots, his DKA, but really the famous one is the cronut. We're here at 7 a.m. to get in front of the line so we can get a head start. The cronuts are extremely limited in quantity and very, very popular. And I want to see what all the hype is about. Let's go.
So when I first launched the cronut, it was in 2013 for Mother's Day, so in May.
The team at Dominique & Sell Bakery wanted to create a donut-shaped dessert for the occasion, but didn't have any recipes for donuts. So, Chef Ansel made a laminated dough, similar to a croissant, to fit the bill. It took him over 2 months to perfect his cronut recipe. A food reporter from Grub Street tried the pastry by chance, and it went viral. People started lining up outside the next day, and traffic to the bakery's website went up 300%. It's been 6 years now, and the cronut obsession still isn't over.
First in line this morning. We really want to try the cronuts.
We waited since 7 o'clock. 1 hour, yeah. We have to have the whole New York experience, and that's why we're getting a cronut today.
So, what makes the cronut so iconic? First of all, it's limited in quantity. You're not guaranteed one, hence the lines. Every day by noon, all 500 to 600 of them are sold out. This is partly because making the cronut is such a painstaking process. It takes 3 days from start to finish. Chef Ansel finally revealed the home-cooked version of the recipe in his cookbook in 2014, and it proves just how much work goes into making them. The proofing and ganache are the most time-consuming parts. You're honestly better off just buying one. At the bakery, each cronut is proofed, then deep-fried. It's filled with 2 different fillings. Then it's rolled in sugar and glazed. The team changes the cronut flavor every month, and no flavor is ever repeated.
The reason why I keep limiting the quantity is just because I want to preserve the quality. I always tell everyone that I don't want my creation to kill my creativity.
When we visited in July, the cronut of the month was Meyer lemon and wildflower honey. I've been wanting to try this since 2013, and here we are, mid-2019, first bite of the cronut. It's so crunchy. This hands down might be one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life. Wow. That's so good. That is so good. It definitely, for me, tastes more like a croissant than a donut. It's denser than a donut, and it has these little very thin layers like you get from a croissant, and it's extremely buttery but still very light and airy. Do you have powdered sugar like everywhere on my face?
Sort of.
I can see why people line out the door 2 hours before opening just to have this dessert now, because it's fluffy, it's airy, it's buttery, it's crunchy, it's all of the adjectives that you want in a dessert just embodied in this one thing, one cronut. It is messy, though. This rightfully owns the title of the best dessert in New York City.
A lot of people ask me if I knew that this was going to happen and what I was expecting. Of course I didn't know. Of course, no one can plan for this.
In a city where new food trends are popping up almost every day, there are still no signs that the cronut's popularity is slowing down. The obsession has spread throughout the world, with copycat cronuts and recipes found everywhere. Even Dunkin' Donuts introduced its version in 2014. Imitation may be the best form of flattery, but the best place to get the cronut is where it all started, Dominique and Sel Bakery in New York City. Mamoun's Falafel is considered the oldest falafel restaurant in the city. Since 1971, it's been a staple for Middle Eastern food, especially falafel and pita sandwiches.
New Yorkers of all walks of life love a cheap, filling lunch of falafel, a deep-fried ball of mashed chickpeas, herbs, and spices. Today, you can get a falafel plate or sandwich at food carts and restaurants all over the city. But 50 years ago, there was only one spot in New York to try falafel, and that was Mamoun's.
This is probably the best falafel I've had in New York. It's not easy to say, but it's true.
We came here because we knew that our trip wouldn't be complete without having some falafels here.
This is amazing.
Hey, I'm Mida, and we're here at Mamoon's Falafel in Greenwich Village on the historic McDougal Street. New Yorkers highly recommend Mamoon's Falafel for its authentic taste and rich history. So today we're going to try some of the falafels ourselves, meet with the owner, and learn about the history of Mamoon's. Tucked in between the world-famous Comedy Cellar and Cafe Reggio, Mamoon's Falafel has been cooking up its falafel sandwiches since 1971.
It's a very traditional recipe, but it's done right. So it tastes really fresh, it tastes really good, and I think the falafel itself is the best in the city.
Family owned and operated since the beginning, the restaurant helped popularize falafel by serving musicians, actors, comedians, tourists, and loyal customers all on McDougal Street for over 48 years. But how did Mamoon's go from a small hole-in-the-wall operation to a franchise with 10 locations? It all started in a cramped apartment kitchen of a struggling immigrant. Mamoon and Maria Chother immigrated to New York from Syria in 1969 and started refining his mother's falafel recipe after working at several restaurants to make ends meet.
Where my family comes from, in Syria, falafel's sort of like just regular sort of street food. It's almost taken for granted over there.
That's Jalal Chother. He's one of the 4 sons of Mamoon himself. Jalal and his brothers took over the falafel business in 1991.
We don't mess with the recipe at all. Like, where my dad left it is where it's going to stay because it's delicious.
In 1971, Mamoon opened his first storefront on McDougal Street, the same location they occupy today, and served his falafel on makeshift tables with buckets as seats.
McDougal Street's always been like a famous block. I mean, in the 50s you had the Beat Movement and Jack Kerouac. In the 60s you had Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan, all that. In the 70s, falafel came. So I think we added to the pantheon of what makes McDougal Street both unique and special.
In the 1970s, a new wave of Syrian, Lebanese, and Arab immigrants came to the United States after the passage of the 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act, which lifted post-World War II immigration quotas. With this wave came Mamoon Chother, founder of Mamoon's Falafel, as well as a larger Arab presence in the village.
You know, there were people who would speak Arabic out on the street, and my brother learned Arabic from working in the store. I learned it too. You know what I mean? My dad really believes in being a good host and really giving from the heart. And so when he would feed people, it was genuine, you know, and people would love that. But I think that's what started the buzz, really. You know what I mean? You gotta go see the Syrian guy who's like serving food, this awesome food out of a 200 square foot restaurant.
Word spread, and soon Mamoon's became known as a best cheap eat, and its falafel sandwich, famous.
The most popular menu item is by far a falafel sandwich. That's 2-to-1 ratio for everything else that we serve combined. It's simple, it's elegant, and it tastes fantastic.
Mamoon's falafel sandwiches are all vegetarian, made out of pita bread layered with hummus, their signature falafel, lettuce, tomatoes, and topped with tahini sauce. But before the falafel hit the counters at restaurants, they start right here in Newark, New Jersey at their very own commissary. Let's take a look inside of Mamoon's Falafel's facility.
We have a 10,000 square foot facility here where we produce the falafel, the hummus, the baba ganoush, our main items. And we have processes in check to make sure that the quality and everything meets our standards.
Mamoon's legendary falafel recipe starts with parsley, lots and lots of parsley. It's mixed with chopped onions and garlic and combined with a carefully weighed batch of chickpeas, the key ingredient to falafel. The herbs and chickpeas are ground up, then get mixed with a special array of spices, including cumin, turmeric, and cardamom. This batter is then ground once more and finally pushed out into individual packets, which are boxed and ready for shipment.
What set our falafel apart, if you go to the Middle East, falafels are mostly chickpeas. They're not as green, and that's a comment we get from all of our Israeli customers or our Arabic customers. Oh, your falafel's so green. And that was the addition we did to the falafel market, where we added the extra herbs and spices here.
From the commissary, the falafel batter heads to one of 10 locations. While the batter is prepared off-site at the facility, the falafel are freshly fried at each restaurant, where lines of people await the savory and crispy taste of the Middle Eastern dish.
The falafel is probably one of the best I've ever had. Honestly, the consistency is great. It's nice and crispy on the outside and nice and moist on the inside, so a lot to love from it.
The hummus here is amazing. The falafel is perfectly fried, 100% recommendation.
With all the customers showering the food with compliments, I couldn't wait any longer and had to try the legendary falafel sandwich myself. So what I noticed what they were doing at Mamoun's Falafel is that they actually smashed down each of the pieces of falafel into the sandwich. So each bite that you're taking with this falafel sandwich will have a bit of the falafel. So you're not going to be like duped by having just like a piece of pita bread and none of the falafel with it. So here I go. This is exactly what I wanted in a falafel sandwich. I usually don't like tomatoes, but the thing with Mamoun's I just noticed is that their tomatoes are really fresh and they just add more to the flavor of this falafel sandwich. And the falafel itself did not let me down. It actually has a really good consistency to it. Really, for $4, this is a great deal.
What makes this place special to me is I grew up here. You know, my brothers grew up here, and it was always a family sort of endeavor. We want to see how far we can sort of take the name, and that's really what's most important to us. Is just sort of making his name grow, and you know, spreading the food and the love across the country.
Just a few blocks away from the Empire State Building stands one of the city's oldest steakhouses. Keen's is a meat eater's paradise, known best for its most famous dish, the mutton chop.
New York is home to plenty of notable steakhouses, but few can say they've served the likes of Teddy Roosevelt, Albert Einstein, and Babe Ruth. This century-old restaurant is full of fresh beef, but its most famous plate isn't steak. People seek it out instead for a dish of aged lamb called the mutton chop. This is Keen's Steakhouse, and it's been standing here since 1885.
I brought my nephew and he had the mutton chop. I said, it's big, you might want to share. He said, no way. And he devoured it. It was outrageous.
We're in Midtown today, just a few blocks away from the Empire State Building, and we knew we had to head to Keen's Steakhouse for a few reasons. One, they're one of the oldest restaurants in New York. Two, they make these legendary mutton chops, which is this aged cut of lamb. And three, they have 90,000 pipes on the ceiling, but we'll get to that later. So let's go ahead inside and learn a little bit more about this historic chop house.
Keen's English Chop House originally spawned from the Lambs Club, a theater group dating back to the 1870s that still exists today. The restaurant became a meeting place for actors, playwrights, and publishers, and the go-to spot for a quality mutton chop. Mutton chops used to be a popular meal in American restaurants in the 1800s, inspired by menus at English chop houses in Europe. It's said that American soldiers ate mutton chops often during World War II, but had grown tired of the meat and its musky flavor upon returning to the U.S. So mutton fell out of favor, but Keen's continued serving it, and built a reputation as one of the only places to make the plate and do it well. In 1935, the Chop House had served its 1 millionth mutton chop.
Why do you think the mutton chop in particular, though, became so synonymous with this restaurant?
Well, I think that people also like to try something that's unique and that it's become a signature dish here because you don't see it on every menu. And so when they come, they try it, you know, and say, okay, that's great. And I can't even believe the size of it when it's put in front of them.
Each mutton chop is made up of a sheep's loins, tenderloins, and belly flap, and weighs about 1.5 pounds. It's just seasoned with salt and popped into the broiler for each side to brown, allowing the natural sugars in the meat to caramelize.
And about how many orders of these mutton chops do you guys do in a day or a week?
In a day, maybe 70, 80. In a week, hundreds and hundreds.
Chef Billy Rogers says customers who enjoy lamb will likely enjoy mutton too.
Would you describe this as a gamier meat or a gamier flavor?
You know, if you like lamb, you're going to love this. It is a cross-cut saddle of mature lamb or sheep. It's about a year plus in age. That's what makes it mutton as opposed to lamb.
If you've never had lamb particularly, or mutton before especially, this is a fattier piece of meat. It's very easy to cut into, it's very easy to bite into, it's just very soft. It does not need salt, it does not need pepper. This is so juicy in itself, so flavorful on its own.
And of course, you can also get steak. The sirloin is another popular order at Keen's. But quality red meat isn't the only reason the steakhouse is considered an institution. The restaurant is host to one of the largest collections of clay pipes in the world. Back in the 17th century, it was an English tradition to check one's pipe before sitting down for a meal. And once finished, patrons would call for a pipe warden to return their pipes.
Who are some of those early famous faces that have had pipes here?
Well, I guess the earliest, Babe Ruth, Teddy Roosevelt, Will Rogers, it goes on and on.
The steakhouse's list of loyal customers has grown considerably since Babe Ruth visited.
It's legendary. It's one of the oldest establishments in Manhattan. So, so there's that history, and you feel it when you come in.
Stop in on a normal day, and you'll find tourists and longtime regulars alike.
This is my table.
This is a go-to.
Table 87. I come here and I say, I want my table.
How did you first hear about Keen's, or why did you start coming?
No, it's a New York institution. You look around, the history, the pipes, the photos. It's the place to be.
People come from around the world, emails from around the world about how they'll be coming, where they're coming from. So really, to be a destination for those people is a special thing, which we really try and live up to their expectations.
If you see everything, all of the photographs on the walls, you could just go back in time and realize that where you're sitting, where you're dining, where you're having a beautiful glass of wine is where so many decades of so many people have had the pleasure of enjoying it.
Street food is an undeniable part of New York's eating scene. And while hot dogs are one of the most common cheap eats you can find, Papaya King stands out as the first place to bring the tropical juice and Frankfurter combo to Manhattan.
Hot dogs are as true to New York as bagels, pizza, and pastrami on rye. But only one spot has been serving their franks with tropical drinks since 1932. The winning combo has spawned many imitators over the years, but tourists, celebrities, and loyal customers still seek out the original. This is Papaya King.
I've been coming in here since I was maybe 9, 10 years old, and I'm 69 now. But this place has always been tops, and everybody that's from this area or from New York knows about Papaya King.
We're in Manhattan, where hot dogs are basically around every corner in the city, and we're gonna head to the place that New Yorkers have been going for practically the last 90 years, Papaya King. But before they were selling hot dogs, they were selling something much different, so let's go find out.
Papaya King's hot dogs have been called arguably the best hot dog in New York City by food icon Anthony Bourdain.
For me, there's nothing better than a Papaya King to tamp it all down, send me off into the arms of Morpheus properly. It's the gold standard.
And praise for the restaurant has led many imitators across the city to serve a similar tropical drink and hot dog combo. But contrary to popular belief, these lookalikes have no connection to Papaya King.
The biggest misconception in New York City, and I deal with it every single day of my life, is that, oh, you're on 72nd Street. Oh, you're on 14th Street and 1st Avenue. This is the original Papaya King. A lot of the younger generation has no idea, no clue which is which. They think it's all the same. But I guarantee you, when you go to these other places, totally different product.
Before Papaya King became a destination for hot dogs, it wasn't Papaya King at all. It started as a juice bar called Hawaiian Tropical Drinks, opened by Greek immigrant Gus Poulos.
He stumbled upon the most unbelievable melon in the world, the papaya melon, on vacation in Cuba. Came back from Cuba, he said, oh my God, I have to open up something in New York City that I could use the papaya fruit. So Hawaiian Tropical Drinks was born. We are the first juice bar in America. So all these other guys came 65 years after us.
But 2 years later, a customer walked in wanting more.
1934, a customer came into the store and said, what do you have for lunch? I'm starving. He's like, well, I brought some Frankfurters from home. The guy's like, I'll take them. and the rest is history. So in 1963, it was renamed Papaya King. No longer Hawaiian tropical drinks, and they focused more on the combination of salty, sweet, and fresh fruit. So it's kind of like the devil and the angel in the same location.
Hot dogs are delivered each morning at 6 from a local factory. Papaya King employees wearing bright yellow shirts, undoubtedly made to match the shop's signature neon sign, ready themselves for the lunch rush.
On an average Monday through Wednesday, we go through 250 to 300 pounds of hot dogs a day. All right, it's 10 to a pound, so 3,000 hot dogs a day. On the weekends, we go anywhere from 4,000 hot dogs a day to 4,700 hot dogs a day. A day.
Ooh, thank you. No, that's okay. Thank you.
Wayne says the most popular order is the original combo: 2 hot dogs with relish, sauerkraut, or New York onion sauce, and a papaya drink.
Honestly, from the moment I opened that box, I could smell the vinegar from this sauce, and I'm really excited. That makes me more excited to try it. It's a snappy hot dog, for sure. I really liked the sauce because it was like zingy was the way that Wayne described it to me, kind of tangy. You really get that vinegar.
Although hot dogs are the assumed star of the show, Papaya King's signature juices are just as popular.
What about this combination of juice and hot dogs do you think is so appealing to customers?
Well, you have a salty and a sweet kind of concept. So our drinks are fresh, they're natural, it's just digestive, as you can see on the machines. It sounds crazy, you're having a beef hot dog with a fresh juice or a tropical drink, but it works.
Because it's the best combination for me. I enjoy it every time. And it's enough. I'm not too full. After I get out, I'm just right.
The food is a staple. It's not just a snack. And the papaya is great with vodka.
All day we've been talking to people, and they, for the majority, said that they get their dogs with the New York onion sauce, and they always get the papaya drink. That was unexpected. I expected it to be a thinner juice, but it's actually a frothier fruit drink. But I think it's honestly refreshing, creamy, and not too heavy. And it does, like every other person has said, complement the savory hot dog. You got the sweet drink. Clearly the combination works. The place has been around for 87 years.
We're from Amsterdam, and we came to Papaya for the hot dogs because we heard from Google it was the best. So.
What do we think?
Awesome.
Awesome. This kind of thing appeals to everybody. I have politicians, I have Martha Stewart, Woody Allen, de Blasio comes all the time. We have a ton of doormen, firemen, school kids, older women, people that have been coming for generations of families. It appeals to everybody. Everybody still eats hot dogs, no matter what they say out there.
If you're looking for authentic Southern cuisine, there's no better place than Sylvia's restaurant in Harlem. It's a New Yorker's favorite for soul food, serving some of the best fried chicken and waffles around.
When you're in New York City and you're craving soul food, you head to Harlem. And anyone that grew up in this neighborhood knows that Sylvia's is the place to get it.
Hey guys, we're in Harlem about to try some of the most legendary soul food in New York City, Sylvia's, and we're even going to see how they make it, so let's dig in.
From ribs and collard greens to chicken and waffles, Sylvia's has been dishing out Southern comfort food for 57 years. And people love it.
I love the fried chicken.
7 days a week, locals, tourists, and even celebrities crowd around these famous tables.
Like our barbecue ribs and our pork chops. Big fan. Whoopi, hands down. She loves it. Chris Rock, candy yams, macaroni and cheese. Everyone loves our cornbread, from the Clintons to President Obama.
The list goes on. Jennifer Lopez, Nelson Mandela, Muhammad Ali, Beyonce. So what's the secret to almost 6 decades of Sylvia's success? Sylvia herself.
She was the mother of Harlem. She was the perfect mixture of best friend, confidant, cheerleader, grandma, mentor. Everything just rolled into one beautiful, beautiful chocolatey package.
Sylvia is like, she's Mama Harlem. Queen of Harlem, and coming in here was always like going home.
Originally from South Carolina, Sylvia Woods moved to Harlem in 1944 and got a job working as a waitress at Johnson's Luncheonette. 18 years later, Johnson offered to sell the restaurant to Sylvia. With a loan from her mother, she opened Sylvia's restaurant in 1962. Sylvia passed away in 2012, entrusting her family with her tradition of persistent hospitality and love cooked into every bite. Today, Sylvia's children and grandchildren run the restaurant. This is her grandson Marcus, one of the chefs dishing out Sylvia's original recipes. I asked him to show me how it's done, starting with one of my favorite dishes.
We are here in Sylvia's kitchen with Chef Marcus. He's going to show me how to make their famous world-renowned ribs. All right, what's the first step?
First things first, I like to just give them a little pat dry. Okay. You know, you have a lot of stuff still on them. You want to just make sure that they're nice and clean.
How long have you been making these?
My whole life, honestly. As long as I can remember, I've been trying to help season food with my grandmother. You want to make sure you rub it like you're putting lotion on a baby. You want it to get in each little crevice, all right?
Okay. All right, I'm going to lotion the baby now.
Yes, absolutely. You treat it like it's yours. That's really the love. That's how you really get involved with your food and really make it a love type of thing. Very intimate.
The ribs then go into a brine of water, vinegar, and some secret ingredients for 4.5 hours. Then they're baked. Next up, Sylvia's most popular dish, the chicken and waffles.
Is this your grandmother's recipe?
Yes, this is her recipe. That's all her. I mean, everything down to how you seasoned it, we all learned from her.
Each chicken breast is seasoned and drenched in flour by hand. Excess flour is knocked off, and then it hits the fryer for about 7 to 10 minutes. Those pieces come out crispy, golden brown, perfect for topping on waffles.
Everyone that's coming in is like ordering chicken and waffles. We cannot fry the chicken fast enough. The poor waffle machines are just like constantly, like if they had a voice, they're just screaming like, oh my God, leave me alone.
Sylvia's is also known for their collard greens, a Janet Jackson favorite. To get rid of the pesky sand or grit that the greens grow in, they have to be washed multiple times. Finally, they're cooked in the same big pot Sylvia's has been using for almost 60 years. But no meal is complete without a side of their 4-cheese mac and cheese and their classic cornbread. Now that I've played my part in serving up a little Sylvia's love, I had to go eat.
This looks incredible. I'm getting so many flavors just in my nose without even tasting it just right now. And I just literally smell the love coming off of this plate. The ribs are what's grabbing me right now. The meat is completely fall off the bone tender. And even though they were cooked 3 times, they're still so incredibly juicy, which is astounding to me. I just need another napkin. I need the whole stack of napkins. Soul food isn't meant to eat daintily. You gotta go for it.
The ribs were phenomenal, and that chicken had me singing. So crispy, so juicy, and stacked on top of a thick waffle.
It's been great. It's still gonna be great, and I mean, I guess you guys can leave. You probably don't want to see what I'm about to do to all this food right now. See ya.
The last time I came to Sylvia's, I was 10 years old, but the flavors haven't changed. The energy and the comfort inside hasn't gone anywhere. And even as Harlem keeps changing around it, I'm confident that with some damn good food and a whole lot of love, this restaurant will continue to be an anchor for the community. And Sylvia, forever the queen of soul food.
Over in Brooklyn, Peter Luger is the pinnacle of steakhouses. Another century-old location, the restaurant is famous for its porterhouse cut.
In New York City's rapidly changing landscape, few restaurants can stand the test of time. So how has this legendary steakhouse survived for over 130 years?
Hey guys, it's Spencer, and we are here at Peter Luger Steakhouse in Brooklyn, New York. If you're looking for the quintessential, old-school New York City steakhouse experience, this is the spot.
Peter Luger Steakhouse is an old-school German beer hall-styled steakhouse where we believe in, as my great-grandfather would say, simple goodness. And what I mean by that is we have a small menu, but what we do, we try to make sure that we get perfectly.
The family-owned restaurant is one of the few Michelin-starred steakhouses in the city. And it's made Zagat's list of best steakhouses in NYC for 30 years and counting. Most surprisingly, though, is their ability to last in a neighborhood that's seen such significant changes over the years.
Peter Luger was opened in 1887 as Carl Luger's Cafe and Billiards. And my great-grandfather had a metal factory right across the street. And every day he would come in for lunch and have a steak and a martini. And when it was put up for auction, he poked his head in. There wasn't much going on. And without knowing anything about the restaurant industry, he kind of took a gamble on it. People knew they could come here for a great meal, great service, and it was reliable in a part of the town that wasn't as reliable. Now the neighborhood has changed drastically. I think it's been kind of a perfect storm of energy that has pushed us from a little steakhouse right over the Williamsburg Bridge to hopefully a destination restaurant in the United States.
Every steak is hand-picked by a family member to ensure it meets their rigorous standards.
What defines a Peter Luger steak is we only start with USDA Prime, which is the highest grade the USDA will hand out. From there, we will only select a very small portion of it. Once it's brought to the restaurant, we dry age it in-house for an undisclosed period of time. I'm afraid I can't tell you guys that, but once it's been dry aged, we then butcher it in-house. We sear it, and we want that steak going out sizzling hot, and so from there, it's just going to your table hopefully as quickly as possible.
The plate comes out boiling hot, and it's actually still cooking when you get it. It's just fantastic.
Are you very excited?
No, very excited.
It's delicious.
So right off the bat, it smells unreal. You could smell it from like a mile away. It looks like it's cooked perfectly. It smells amazing. But the question is, how does it taste? That is incredibly tender. I think when you have a steakhouse that's been here for 130 years, you know they're doing it right. And I can tell you it's as good as it looks. There's a reason they've survived the ages. This is the reason right here. Cheers.
The meal is finished with one of their classic desserts, served alongside a heaping bowl of homemade schlag. Followed by some official Peter Luger Steakhouse chocolate gold coins.
People have just so come to expect that if we don't have that, it's not the Peter Luger experience. We go out of our way to really ensure that each piece of meat is as good, if not better, than the next. And we keep the menu really condensed and tight, and so it's bare bones, but at the same time, it's the perfect way of experiencing a classic New York City steakhouse meal.
This list couldn't be complete without the most legendary pizza in New York. Customers brace the cold or the heat, waiting in lines for warm pie from Lucali's Brick Oven in Brooklyn.
If I could only eat from one pizza place for the rest of my life, I think I would have to say it would be Lucali.
Why do you think so many people flock here?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Why do you think they pick your pizza here?
I guess I make a good pizza.
This is Mark Iacono. He opened Lucali in 2006. Since then, pizza fans from all over the world have been flocking to his restaurant, even some celebrities.
What do you think is the best pizza in Brooklyn? This is something people talk about a lot.
Lucali's by far.
Lucali's, okay.
Every afternoon at 5 p.m., hopeful diners wait in line anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to put their names down on the list for the night.
They start taking names at 5, they finish around 5:45, and that's it, we're booked.
It's definitely worth the wait. It's definitely worth getting there at 4:30, even if you're not going to eat until 7:30.
We got here at 4. My buddy Riley planned the strategy out, said you got to get here at 4, put your name in at 5, and so we waited about an hour more or less.
We don't have a reservation policy. We're a really small restaurant. We only have 10 tables. We're open 4 hours a night. You know, it has to be, you know, one person gets up, the next person has to be waiting to sit down.
So what makes Mark's Pizza so legendary?
No, I had no culinary experience. It wound up being that, like, I figured it out as I went along. Like I said, I had zero experience. You know, I really didn't know the science behind it. I didn't understand, like, yeast and how it worked and the effects it had on the dough and the proofing times.
Mark figured out how to make a delicious pizza, and the restaurant's history is just as rich as his food.
I was born and raised here. I still live here. I lived here my whole life. And, you know, the pizzeria we stand in today was an old candy store that I grew up in, that my dad would bring me and my brothers here, Louis' Candy Store.
After Louis passed away, his wife Rosemary put the place up for rent. At the spur of the moment, Mark decided to sign the lease. Since opening, Lucali gradually built a strong base of fans.
The first time that I went to Lucali was probably about 7 years ago, so I've been eating pizza there ever since. And I heard about it through word of mouth, just people saying, like, you've got to try this pizza. It's the best that you will have in Brooklyn.
Well, we don't have much, you know, it's just pizza and calzone. You know, joking around, you know, we're always, you know, goofing with the customers. Pizza and calzone, leave him alone. That's all he makes.
To get a better idea of what makes Lucali pizza so great, I had to step into the kitchen and learn how Mark makes his pizza.
Jesus, my pizza making skills are so subpar.
You gonna roll dough?
I'll do whatever you want me to do.
You want a lot of flour, and you want to kind of start almost from the center and roll out.
Is there a reason why you use a wine bottle instead of a rolling pin?
Yes, because I don't know how to make pizza. As I mentioned earlier, I never made pizza before, and it was the very beginning. I was probably open a week. And I screwed the dough up. People were screaming at me. They wanted their pizza. I was really slow at the time. I didn't understand. I was like, why won't it stretch? So I called my brother, who lives right around the block, and I was like, bring me grandma's rolling pin, hurry up. And he just took forever, so I just grabbed a wine bottle and just started rolling it out with a wine bottle. And it just stuck.
Does it do anything for the taste?
Yeah, the pies do come out a lot crispier.
Sorry, I have the upper arm strength
Put
of
some
a
muscle
child.
into it. Don't put too much thought into it.
I think that
See,
is
it's
my
coming
answer.
perfect.
Okay.
You're doing a great job.
And
then like spread your hands, hold it up, see what you got. Perfect, you're done. Look, you
Leave.
stretched the perfect dough.
You make it look so easy.
I need thousands of these things. So drop it right in the center. The whole thing. Okay, now with the bottom, you want to just make, go ahead, grab it. You're going to do a little circle and just let it, like, you know, like you're making a spiral. Push it out.
Yeah?
After working here a month, your forearms will be like Popeye.
Yeah, I can't relate. The only working out I do is
Eating.
Yes. And we just dollop it everywhere?
Well, yeah, you're not slam dunking basketball.
So gingerly place
Yeah,
it down.
just throw it on. That's it, you're done. You did an amazing job.
You're so kind.
No, you really did. You know you did.
Yeah, I think it's an even distribution.
After that, the pizza goes into the oven and is topped with Parmigiano Reggiano and fresh basil.
People have been coming here, and I think because it's so hard to get in here, they have the pizza, and they don't want to waste the experience on a calzone, and like, I'll send the calzone over. They don't order the pizza anymore. Now they just order the calzone. So we're gonna do a calzone?
Mm-hmm. What's the best way to order the calzone?
Calzone, a little garlic, and we make a hot pepper sauce that you can put on top.
And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the eating portion of this video.
I never thought that this moment would come. I have tried coming into Lucali's so many times, and I just haven't nailed the tactic yet. I think I need to come a little early, and to have the pizza made by Mark himself is just almost too good to be true. This is everything that I want in a pizza. So good. The crust, it just keeps getting better. Normally, I have something to say after the first bite, but I truly don't want it to end, so I'm gonna talk to you after I finish this slice. It's like just the perfect pairing of flavors. It's truly mind-blowing. I am astounded.
It's not bad.
When you say it's not bad, that's like truly the biggest understatement of the year.
And to top it off, I sat down with Mark and ate the calzone.
I eat out a lot, and I look for ordinary dishes. Like, again, pizza's just, it's ordinary to me. But who's doing it the best? Like, you know, I grew up with this, you know, you gotta step out of the box. Like, I know, like, everyone plays favoritism to the pizzerias they grew up with, but you need to go out and experience a bunch of pizzerias. And what's amazing about this pie? What was amazing about his pie? You just put it all together and just try to take the pizza to another level.
So that's the secret behind the pizza at Lucali. Mark, in my humble opinion, has perfected the pizza, but he sometimes gets a spark for a new idea.
This pie I just made is inspiring me to make a new pie. It's just like something I came up with a great idea.
You heard it here first. Mark eats the first slice of pizza and he's like, I got an idea. And now I know.
You inspired it.
That means so much.
Do you like garlic?
I'm Korean.
Like, garlic's big in Korea?
Are you joking?
No, I don't eat a lot of Korean food. I don't know where to go.
Okay, that I can share with you.
Okay, you're gonna take me out for Korean?
Yes, I
right.
can do that. So I'm guessing that this new idea is gonna have something to do with garlic?
I may have to name the pie after you. All right, my restaurant is full. I need to get back to work.
I think part of the charm at Lucali is to wait in the line and really like build up the anticipation of trying this pizza and this calzone, and then once you taste it, you're always gonna be wanting it.
And finally, we have an icon both in New York and around the world. The original Nathan's famous location is just a few minutes from the beach at Coney Island.
Quick to make and easy on the wallet, hot dogs are a fast way to a New Yorker's heart. Tons of spots cook them well, but one Coney Island icon stands high above the rest. This is Nathan's, and it's been serving New York's most legendary hot dogs since 1916.
This is the spot. This is the family spot when you come in the summer and stuff.
Even in January, it doesn't matter, we would come to Nathan's.
We're here on Coney Island to visit Nathan's famous hot dogs. Now I'm super excited because I'm a bit of a hot dog enthusiast. I even have a super cool hot dog tattoo. Now we're here in the off season, which personally for me is my favorite time to come to Coney Island, because hopefully it'll be a little bit less crowded and we can get an awesome sneak peek at what makes Nathan's so famous. Nathan's is iconic, if not the most iconic hot dog in America, if not the world. And one of the most recognizable things about Nathan's is the hot dog eating contest on the 4th of July. Correct. How did that get started?
Well, it's a funny story. You know, he wanted to publicize Nathan's. So you didn't have TV and radio in those days, in 1916. So he had to come up with a gimmick, and Nathan's was pretty smart. So he says, you know what, I'm going to conduct a hot dog eating contest right in front of the store. So as people were walking by, he'd say, how many hot dogs can you eat? It was like a dozen people. And then they would eat, if they ate 12 hot dogs, it was a lot. 3, 2, 1, go!
Today, crowds pack together closely in the peak heat of summer to see competitors like Joey Chestnut funnel 74 hot dogs in 10 minutes. But before Nathan's won over Coney Islanders, there was another go-to place for fresh franks. Legend has it that Feltman's, opened by German immigrant Charles Feltman, was the first to introduce the cheap beat to Coney Island in 1867. But about 50 years later, one of Feltman's employees found a way to do it better. Nathan Handworker left Feltman's to open his own hot dog stand on the corner of Surf and Stillwell Avenues, using his wife's secret recipe. He sold each frank for 5 cents, and customers loved it.
I'm from Brooklyn, not from here, but I used to bring my children to the park, to the beach. And they all come, Mommy, are we going to Nathan? Mommy, so I got 3 kids, so I had to spend a lot of money from all those years. So Nathan owed me a free hot dog.
Now, on a good day in the summer,
Yes,
how
sir.
many hot dogs do you think you guys are selling
We sell anywhere between 4,000 to 10,000 hot dogs.
in one day?
In one day.
Wow. The go-to order is an all-beef hot dog with deli mustard and sauerkraut, plus a side of salty crinkle-cut fries. When you're eating the Nathan's hot dog, it's like a full-on experience. You've got the flavors and you've got the smells, but then you've got that like texture thing with the snap, where it just cracks in your mouth. It just tastes so fresh and unique.
I've been coming to Nathan's for 40 years.
And I've been coming for 60 years.
You can't drive through Brooklyn without going to Nathan's.
It's really the nucleus of the neighborhood. So Coney Island, it really in many ways is Nathan's, and Nathan's for many years was Coney Island. So what started as a small hot dog stand now encompasses an entire city block behind us. So it's hard to miss. It really is that tent pole to Coney Island.
Nathan's roots are deep in Coney Island, but its name is known across the world. The once small stand can now be found at 58,000 stores in over 10 different countries. And still, locals and tourists seek out the original.
We are from France. We hear Nathan's because it's the king of hot dog. It's excellent.
It's like quintessential New York. When you move to New York, you feel like you don't fit in, and or you come to New York, it's very overwhelming, it's very loud, there's a lot of crazy sights, and there's something about just the New York hot dog that makes you feel like you're a part of it. So every time I come out here, I feel like I'm not just this kid from the Midwest, I'm a New Yorker now. It makes me feel like I fit in. This is what people have been eating here for 100 years.
This was my hangout when I was a teenager. I used to play hook and go with my girlfriend here.
Yeah, it's all about the history. It's the longevity. It's the community. It's the loyal customer base. Almost like a cult that we have that follows us. Yeah. But that's what it's about. That's what made Nathan's famous.
I love it.